Hunter resolved to fly to Arizona for rehab. But after missing 4 flights, smoking crack, he decided to drive.
I drove through the night, finally stopping in Nashville a few hours after sunrise. I checked into a hotel and smoked away the rest of the day. By nightfall, I realized I was already running low on drugs. I rummaged through my car seats and floor mats for crumbs, then drove off sometime around midnight to score more. By now, I possessed a new superpower, the ability to find crack in any town at any time, no matter how unfamiliar the terrain.
After 4 days of smoking crack in his Tennessee hotel room, he finally boarded a flight to Phoenix. He made it as far as his layover in L.A., but again skipped his connecting flight to smoke crack. That binge lasted 6 days. At 4 a.m. on October 27, the sitting vice president's son finally headed out to Arizona in a rented Lincoln Town car. He almost didn't live to tell about it.
I nodded off behind the wheel. Waking up an instant later, I found myself in midair, the car having jumped a soft curb on the passing lane and soaring at 80 miles an hour into a cloudless blue sky, heading into the gulch that divided I-10.
He somehow made it to a nearby Hertz and got another car to drive the rest of the way.
He left a rental car that had drug residue in it, his brother Bo's Attorney General badge on the dash, credit cards, identification. Nothing happens to him, though. He has close associates in the Secret Service who help take care of some of these issues.
Some of those close associates, Hunter once told a friend, were agents who owed a debt to his father.
Guys said he got their daughter into the Naval Academy, that he had to the VP residence and let them use his apartment to stay and cost the White House. Guys he paid their health insurance premiums for anonymously. All those guys, they were made aware I was around. They were supposed to look out for me.
Rattled by his near-death experience, he summoned his brother's widow, Hallie, to be by his side. He tried to keep their relationship out of the papers, but the New York Post now had the story. Biden family affair, the headline said, but the relationship was far more sordid than that. The romance consisted of taking drugs, filming themselves having sex, then posting the videos to Hunter's online porn account.
Hunter would film their sex sessions and upload them to amateur porn sites such as Pornhub and give them titles such as Lonely Widow. There was a lot of love and, I guess, passion and lust there as well that they talked about, but it really was disastrous for everybody involved.
Texts capture the horror the family felt. In November 2016, Hunter's sister Ashley scolded Hallie in a family group chat that included Joe and Jill.
You will pay for sitting around while watching my other brother kill himself. Everyone is talking about Hunter making scenes at restaurants. People are worried. You are the problem. This isn't love. This is my brother, Hi.
You want me to come home because you want to use together? Not because you want me to come home.
I want to use regardless, but I would rather use with you and have sex with you all night.
It was viewed with horror by people even within the family.
Nevertheless, Hunter asked his father to come out in support of the couple.
Hunter pleads with them to put out a statement saying that they approve of it so that it doesn't look worse than it already is.
Dad, I told him, if people find out but they think you're not approving of this, it makes it seem wrong. The kids have to know that there's nothing wrong with this. And the one person who can tell them that is you.
A reluctant Joe complied.
We are all lucky that Hunter and Hallie found each other as they were putting their lives together again after such sadness. They have mine and Joe's full and complete support, and we are happy for them.
In time, the relationship grew nasty.
I think we should schedule a visit, and we'll talk with the therapist. I'm not going to continue to argue, and I don't want to talk and make things worse.
Hunter writes that Hallie told him his brother Bo didn't think highly of him and laughed behind his back. While Hunter's private life was running wild, his bank account was running low. Burisma cut his compensation in half.
Please find the new direction agreement for execution. The only thing was amended is the compensation rate. I'm sure you'll find it both fair and reasonable.
Reasonable for most, but not for Hunter. He scrambled for more cash.
Once Joe Biden leaves the vice presidency and he's a private citizen, Hunter Biden continues with the deals in China, and one of them involves this entity called CEFC, where Hunter Biden's going to get an ownership stake.
Hunter wasn't the only family member expecting his own slice of the pie.
Very interestingly, as the laptop reveals, 10% of the ownership of this entity is going to be preserved for the big guy, which is Joe Biden. So you have this circumstance where Joe Biden, recently leaving the White House, is going to be getting an ownership stake in a company that is controlled by a Chinese oligarch who's close to the intelligence services, who's close to the national security state in China. And it's an indication that Hunter Biden was really the stalking horse for the Biden family when it came to these deals in China. Once Joe was out of public service, out of the White House, now he could get a cut of these deals himself, too.
Under the deal, Hunter would get $850,000, but that was not enough.
I will need a hell of a lot more than $850 per year on a monthly basis. And this is my own personal problem, but I'll make it yours also, I'm sure. $2 million to me means $1 million before taxes. The other half goes to her, Kathleen. $850 to me means $100K to me. She has a $750 floor. That does not include all the debt I assumed, and not one dime for the girls. 2 Ivy League school living expenses and the most expensive high school in D.C.
The laptop records show that an avalanche of people constantly asked for money. His ex-wife, Kathleen, turned up the heat on him.
Our credit is a mess because of you. You have completely ruined your own credit and mine. You. Also, are you ever going to pay your bills? Pay my parents back, the lawyer, the accountant? You're a joke. You can't stop talking to the girls about money. How you're broke because you gave me all the money. Laughable.
Eventually, Hunter cut a deal with the Chinese. For introductions alone, they would pay him $10 million a year for a minimum of 3 years and a 3-carat diamond ring to boot.
They've been given this diamond in exchange for forming this relationship with these Chinese communists.
Hunter immediately went on a spending spree. According to credit card statements, nearly $22,000 for menswear, $3,000 per night hotel suites, and $12,000 at Larry Flint's Hustler Club. By this point, the once handsome Hunter was looking the part of a crack addict, rotting teeth and all. They'd cost him nearly $70,000 to fix. But dealing with corrupt foreigners had its risks.
The deal is about to come down. Then a senior official at CEFC named Patrick Ho gets arrested on bribery charges in New York. And it blows up the entire deal because CEFC is now in the crosshairs of the FBI.
The payday vanished as his bills piled up, including $57,000 for Hallie's rehab in Malibu in late 2017. Around this time, he was fooling around with a D.C. stripper who called herself Dallas. This relationship would complicate his life further, though few were paying attention to Hunter's affairs, sexual or financial.
When my book first came out in 2018, I had reporters tell me, oh, this is very interesting stuff, but, Joe Biden's not in office anymore, so it's no big deal.
Joe Biden, however, was thinking of running again, and the family worried Hunter might spoil the 76-year-old's last chance. He and Hallie were now living in a $5 million waterfront rental home in Annapolis, and according to this February 2018 text from Ashley to Hallie's sister Liz, openly and notoriously using drugs.
This is all getting out of control. Just came from meeting with police chiefs, and dealers are known in community. Not a good look for the widow of Attorney General. Enough is enough. I was down at the beach, and I can promise no one was getting healthy. They left all their drug crap out. She is the Attorney General's widow, and he is the Vice President's son. If you think that people don't already know everywhere that they are addicted to crack, etc., you are naive. When you deal with drug dealers, the likelihood of plates being run is high. My dad may run for president, and if you think this shit is going to fly, shit will hit the fan. The whole town knows, as do many others. They aren't very discreet, and people are mean. And let me tell you, they are beyond messy. They left all their drug paraphernalia for my parents to see.
Ashley apparently didn't know Hunter's relationship with Liz had also turned sexual. He paid her rent, bought her panties, and sent this steamy text.
We should shower together by FaceTime every morning or night when we're up at 3. Stress relief. I'll teach you how to masturbate.
By 2018, Hunter Biden is just off the rails. All his Chinese deals have started to fall apart. So he heads off to LA to Chateau Marmont for just a non-stop bender.
The Chateau Marmont has a storied history. Comedian John Belushi died of an overdose in Bungalow 3. Hunter was also up to no good in his $850 a night room.
He had guys that would cook the crack for him, and then he learned how to do it himself because it was more efficient.
He also toyed around with the idea of writing a book. In June, he jotted down some possible titles.
A Crackhead's Guide to Hotel Etiquette. Or, Why Crack Cocaine is Better for You Than Vodka, but Not as Fun as Crack and Vodka. Or, Why Crack Cocaine and Air Travel Are Easy, from the Delta Shuttle to Air Force One.
At least it seemed like Easy Street. As Hunter waited for his Porsche 911 to arrive from D.C., he rented a $650 per day Lamborghini, spent $1,000 on the sex cam site Streamray. He partied like there was no tomorrow, then started again the next morning.
I'd get down on my hands and knees and scan the floor and comb through the rug with my fingers. Half the time, I had no idea what I was picking up. Is this a flake of Parmesan from the cheese platter we ordered last night? Or crack? It didn't matter. I smoked it.
But it couldn't last. His bank kept alerting him that he topped his $65,000 credit limit, and he apparently paid an escort with his father's card.
He was in the Chateau Marmont with a professional lady, shall we say. At the end of their little adventure, Hunter Biden owed this lady an additional $8,000, more than the cash that he had already paid her. He handed her a debit card. She swiped it. It appeared not to go through. So he said, here's another one. Try this. They went through 5 of those, $8,000 each time. Didn't work. Finally, on the 6th one, it went through. A couple of hours later, while she's at home, bing, 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 bing. Her computer lights up. The 5 transactions that they thought didn't go through went through. So she reaches out and calls Hunter Biden and explains, remember those 5 transactions? Well, they went through.